So I'm starting this ASMR story by saying that when I'm trying to fall asleep, I just like to listen to something that I don't have to engage in. And so you don't have to really listen to the words, but you can. I hope nothing will be too exciting in this story, and I will try not to make any sudden sounds because that tends to wake me up in ASMR myself, so I will try not to do that. There might be different stories. I've looked up some stories, and I once invented a pretty boring story. But I don't know if boring is the right word. I think you can imagine anything you'd like that is not boring in the story. So go ahead and discover your own imagination if you like, or if you think it's too boring. But anyway, one time I was walking along a meadow, and it was a beautiful day, kind of at sunset. Everything was kind of quiet, and I was walking along a fence, and this fence was kind of robust but friendly. Like, there were no sharp edges to this fence. It was just a plain fence. Behind the fence, mind you, this was a pretty big meadow. There were horses eating grass, and they were enjoying the evening sun. There was one horse that noticed me and came to walk up to me. And I said, "Hello, horsey, how's it going today?" And the horse looked at me and wanted some more food probably, even though the grass in the meadow seemed pretty fresh to me. But I didn't really have any food that I brought with me, but I just stood there and looked at the horse, and the horse didn't seem to mind. And he put down his head to get some more grass. And I observed how horses eat grass. It's quite nice, like they make sounds. Their lips move in this genius way, coordinated with their teeth and their jaws. And they don't really have to concentrate, but they still kind of do while minding the environment and seeing what's going on in the background. Anyway, this horse couldn't really talk to me, but I had a feeling that it was quite content doing this evening activity, and I could watch it a little bit closer, or just from a little bit farther then, because I continued my walk. And I walked towards a different meadow, and in this meadow there were cows. I didn't know very much about cows other than that they were kind of quiet animals if they were feeling okay. And that they liked to eat grass as well, which was good because this meadow was also full of grass. And grass is what cows and horses like to eat. So there were about 5 or 6 cows in this meadow. I didn't see any bull. the cows seemed pretty quiet. They didn't seem to have calves with them at the moment. And they were just walking about, standing. Some of them were standing, some of them were even lying down. I didn't see any cows sitting, because I don't think that is what cows usually do, and neither do horses. They either lie down or they stand in most circumstances. I would say there were about 3 cows lying down and 4 cows standing. Of the 4 cows that were standing, there were 2 that were walking towards me, probably also hoping for a little extra treat, which I didn't bring, and I wouldn't really know what cows or horses are allowed to eat other than what their owners provide for them. But the cows both seemed okay with not getting an extra treat and just getting a few extra steps in toward the fence. So I can continue my walk and see where it takes me next. Now, there's a little hill, and I don't mind hills so much because I also like to get my steps in, and hills get the heart rate up a little bit, so I don't mind, as long as there are no real high cliffs involved, which in this case we were all clear on that. It was just really kind of a low hill. It was kind of a low hill with a path that was meandering, and I could just continue my walk up to the next area. And this area did not have any fences, but there were about 15 goats, so I think that this area where I was walking was kind of like a farm with all these animals that were eating the grass and enjoying the evening sun. I would think that a farm is probably a good description for this situation. And I don't really know very much about farms, to be honest, but I did enjoy this environment. Well, I can imagine all the green things I saw, which were grass, weeds, shrubs, trees. What else could I see on this path? Just a clear blue sky, maybe a few little clouds that were very white and fluffy looking, but a really quiet environment with quiet animals just enjoying nature and maybe looking forward to the night where they could rest their eyes a little more. Horses and cows, I don't think they have to sleep so much because they're herbivores, and I always understood that herbivores are kind of can sleep while they're standing, and they only have to sleep a few hours a day, which is good and relaxing for them. And in the nighttime, their eyes don't have to maybe strain as much, so it might be more relaxing for them and something to look forward to. So why not? Anyway, I was was with these goats now, and they were kind of following me, but in a friendly way. They were probably just curious and wondering what I was up to and if I had any food with me, which I still did not, which was okay with these goats. They were just curious little beings. Eventually, I walked on and they didn't continue following me because they probably liked the place they were at. Didn't want to wander off too much. And they didn't really like me yet as much that they would want to follow me all the way. Because we haven't really met, you know. I didn't say that much to them. I just said, hello, little goats. How great of you to follow me along for just a little bit. And I continued on my way. And I made my way back now a little bit. I started to walk back, but in a big circle, so I still had plenty of things to see tonight. What other animals would cross my path next? I think this was a rather peaceful farm, so I wasn't expecting any dangerous animals, so I was quite at ease. And I was right, because the next animals I saw were, I think, a pretty close relative to the goats, and that is sheep. And sheep are also wonderful creatures with wool on their outside to keep them warm. With wool to keep them warm. And wool is just something that reminds me of clouds and itchy sweaters. But I find sheep kind of neutral. It's not that I really love sheep all that much as compared to any other animal, but I appreciate them anyway. They have all their body parts that are wonderful and do what they are intended to do. They have a brain that can think of things to do, and that can just relax, just like any other creature that can relax in a meadow. Because what else should you do in a meadow other than just enjoy grass and relaxation if you are in a meadow? That seems like the most excellent thing that you can do in a meadow when you're so inclined. When you're an animal that loves to be in meadows. And that is what I observed from these sheep. They were just in their pack of sheep. And sheep, these sheep, they didn't really look at me even. They were just completely content with their evening activities. They were not planning to do anything other than stroll about and just do what nature wants them to do, which is probably just eat grass and sleep and just talk amongst themselves. And I think that is just enough for sheep to do. So I'll continue this story, and there's just not all that much excitement to expect, which is completely fine. I just walked on and on for miles. Not really in circles, but just meandering and wondering where I will end up. Because eventually I knew that I was just going to end up right back at home, where I am very comfortable. At home is where I have all my stuff, all the pictures I can look at of good times, things I can remember about my family, about my friends. Many memories and hopes and dreams about the future. Things that we can still work on, things to learn. And just wonderfully soft blankets to bundle up in. And that was kind of what I was looking forward to. Just feeling comforted by a comforter. A wonderfully soft duvet cover that reminds me of the sheep that I just saw. Because, yeah, sheep are very soft, or at least I associate sheep with softness and comfort, and I hope that these animals can experience the same in their lives, that they feel comfortable with their own wool, and that they get to keep it in the winter to feel warm. Anyway, my blankets are not really real wool, they're synthetic, but they are also very soft and comfortable, and I have no complaints about my blankets. I used to have crinkly blankets that were just too loud, and I found some quiet ones. It's just something to pay attention to when you're shopping for blankets. Is there any noise when you move them? Are they crinkly? Some people probably don't mind crinkly blankets. And I don't mind the noise so much either if I am making it, but if there's someone sleeping in the same room with you with noisy blankets, and that is just less pleasant, but nothing that can be avoided by choosing blankets for your room carefully, or just wearing earplugs, or try not to pay attention to such trivial sounds. And as I was still walking along, I noticed how my feet were feeling. Walking on the grass, I was not even wearing shoes, because I like feeling how grass feels on my feet. And it was a refreshing feeling, and yet a very peaceful feeling. Like a natural feeling, if you can say that. The feeling of grass on your feet, I don't know if you've ever felt it. but you don't feel every strain of grass. You just feel like a collective of grass on your feet. But they have, like, that collective of grass has a texture and a freshness, a little crispness, and you can even feel it's green if you like to feel colors and things like that, which you might think is not possible, but for some people it is. And they're not always right about feeling colors. I'm sure they sometimes feel the wrong colors, but they still kind of feel it. I guess it's something in the brain for some people, which is a nice way that we're all a little different. Anyway, I was feeling the grass and just walking step by step. It was now getting kind of late. I was thinking of some music in my head that was the right music, but what would the right music be in this circumstance? Would it be some kind of classical music to relax the mind, or could it be more poppy? I was inclined to think classical music would be the best, but I'm no opera singer. I just had to imagine the music in my ears instead of singing it. Plus, opera was not exactly the most relaxing music I had in mind either. Just like a piano piece would probably be best. Or even violin. I sometimes do listen to violin music when I'm trying to sleep. And that can be super soothing if they keep it kind of mellow and don't just up the pace for no reason all of a sudden, or just play weird notes that you don't expect. But the sadness of the violin can be comforting, for sure, when you're alone in your bed. And a little sad yourself. And I don't really know if playing sad music when you're sad is the best thing to do. But sometimes it feels comforting, just for a little while, until you can figure out what to do with your sadness. If there's anything that you can do to make it better. It's kind of comforting to know that somebody wrote this piece of music that was a person and maybe felt similar to how you feel. I wanted to express that by writing this music. I'm not sure about what music would be best, though. I don't really know all that much about classical music. Just that I like some of the instruments some of the time. And that sometimes you cannot be without music. Or you just have to sing some music. if you like. At this point in my walk, I was approaching my own place that I had rented, but that did indeed have a comfortable bed waiting for me. So I approached the fence and slowly opened it, walked through it and closed it again, and I looked back and thought about this quiet journey that I had made today through the meadows and looking at animals along the way. And I approached the house, stepped a few steps up to the door and opened this door and closed it. Went to brush my teeth. Had some water, though not a lot because that might cause problems later at night. Anyway, this is where I didn't have to walk anymore, so I could just sit down, relax, not have to do anything anymore because everything was all done. I could just think about all the sheep, the horses, the cows, and the goats. I didn't have to count them in my head, but I could still see them. And that's what I did. But my eyes were feeling heavier and I decided to just go to bed. And I just let the meadows, the thoughts of the meadows take me away into the night. Those are some happy thoughts, right? That's all you have to think about. Meadows, cows, horses, sheep, and goats. Yeah, those are all majestic animals, and you can think a lot of boring thoughts about these animals if you want. And that is exactly what I did. I just thought about their little hairs on their coat. The colors there were a lot of different colors, even within the same animal, because animals like that have parts white, parts brown, parts black, no blue so much with these ones at least that I just saw. They were just enough colors to really be a subject that you could think about. They also all have a particular smell. Horses smell the best to me because the smell just reminds me of my youth. And working in stables. And I used to do that a lot, and it was pretty nice most of the time. some people really didn't like cleaning out stables or still don't like it. But if you like cleaning a little bit, there's a certain satisfaction about helping an animal have somewhere clean to lie down so that they can have a good night too. And so I thought about the horses some more and what kind of dreams they would be having. If they would be dreaming about other horses or people or meadows, or do horses even have dreams? I would think so, but it may be a good question to Google sometime, but not right now. Because right now is a good time to just shut things down. This computer, this recorder, my camcorder, and my brain a little bit too. But I might open it up another day again to continue with weird yet boring stories. And that's it for today. So, bye-bye.